What's up, guys? Craighton here from LogicLounge.com, here with a bit different of a video. I'm going to have a debate today with somebody who you've seen on a couple of our videos before, Anthony Iorio. So thank you for joining me, Anthony.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. And last night, both of us were talking after the Apple event, and we were talking about the removal of the headphone jack. And we kind of got going back and forth, and it was quite an interesting debate. So I thought this might make a good video. So we're going to try this out. I'm going to put 10 minutes on the clock, and we're going to begin now. So my opening statement, I guess you could say, is that I think that there needs to be progress with the headphone jack. It's analog, it's something that's been around for a long time and has never really evolved anywhere. I mean, we've seen the evolution of the headphone jack into other things, being able to transfer over digital audio, but everybody still has that analog headphone jack. So is it taking someone like Apple to finally get people to push to different things? Or is this going to be something where, Apple is going to destroy their brand? I'm not a huge fan of their implementation, but I think that there definitely needs to be some progression with the headphone jack. Now, Anthony, I know you're a huge audiophile. You have a way better audio setup than I do. So, what are your thoughts on the removal of the headphone jack and what Apple has done with it?
So I think that the 3.5 millimeter jack is probably one of the most ubiquitous audio standards in the world right now. Pretty much everyone has regular headphones that have this plug on it. And what's beautiful about it is audio is analog and so is the connector. So, the phone has its DAC and amp built in, and then you can just power any headphone you plug into it. But with this lightning adapter, now you have to go through the process of making it analog outside of the device. So it doesn't work with just any headphones unless you have this adapter. And they're charging $9 per adapter, where before you could have bought any headphones and plugged it in. And now if you lose that adapter, or if you're out on vacation and you forgot it at home, now you have to go find an Apple store and buy one so you can hear your music.
I think you have a good point, but we've all had that issue where our headphone jack starts to die, and because it's analog, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and we get to kind of wiggling around the cable, trying to get it to work, and it just is a huge frustration for us, where with a digital connection like the lightning cable, it's more about ones and zeros. That digital connection is either you have it or you don't. And I've talked about that with HDMI cables before, but I think that translates very well with the lightning cable. Now, you said that they're $9. Yes, but when you buy your next iPhone that doesn't have it, it comes free with it. And I'm already thinking, well, $9 really isn't that bad of a price compared to other Apple cables out there, which are $30, $40 for just a simple cable. I know that I've turned to using third-party cables a lot because I think Apple's ones are just so expensive, and I think that will probably be the case here too. Somebody's going to make a cable that will cost maybe $2 or $3 and start selling it, and they'll probably make a huge profit over that.
So on the point of analog cables sort of breaking and stuff, I totally agree with you. It's completely a flimsy connector, and if you've ever had the end of it break off on you inside your device, it's a real pain to get it out because it's basically in there and there's no real way to sort of finagle it out of the device. But realistically, if the connector's starting to break, it's very easy on an analog cable to just cut the end off and then solder in a new one if you're so inclined. So also on the point of the cables break easy, and you were saying that you used to replace them a lot with third-party cables. In audio too, a lot of headphones also have removable headphone cables, so that you can just plug in any size you want. Well, now you're adding this extra layer of complexity that if you need to change your headphone cable, now you also have to have the circuitry to do the digital to analog conversion. Versus before, you could easily buy a headphone cable for a few dollars online. Now you have to have minimum this like $9 adapter on it, or if it's just the cable is built into the headphone, you might not be able to replace it at all.
Yeah, but I think the point here is that we're progressing the technology. I agree with you that having one single port is a bad idea, but I think that something radical like this in a large company with a large user base will push us to make different changes. Maybe the iPhone 7s will have a different port on it. Maybe we'll have a evolution of it, but you have this round, large port that is analog that Apple has to solder onto all of their motherboards, whereas when they're digital all the way through, and this is just the one thing that seems like it's holding back Apple from evolving the iPhone in some way, from being able to put something else in their phone, because you always have to have that small little hole in your phone somewhere. Why do we always have to have that hole? Why can't it be something else? Why can't we have something flat like the lightning connector? Why can't we have something smaller connector? Why can't we do any of that? Why does it have to be that headphone jack?
So I think the main reason they removed the headphone jack in this iPhone is gotta be for the water resistance. See, I remember back in the day, they used to put these little markers right in the bottom of the headphone jack to tell if you had dropped your phone in liquid. And the problem with headphone jacks is generally they're fairly open and easy for water to get in the phone. And I'm thinking maybe the new lightning connector is probably all weather sealed and it's just gonna reject water from the inside of the phone. And that's probably why they're advertising this new model as more water resistant, even though previous models have shown that they're pretty okay with some water, but they've never really advertised it as this IP67 rating. So I think that's why they got it removed in this iPhone. So if you look at other phones that have this water resistance rating, a lot of them have these little flaps over their connectors. You see this with Samsung, where they have these flaps over the headphone jack and over the micro USB, and I think Apple just didn't want to go that route, so they eliminated.
Because that would look so stupid. That's why.
So if they can remove as many connectors they can that would let water in, it would only make it easier for them to have this rating to go underwater for a certain amount of time, and that's why they have this IP67 rating here.
I know with a lot of my devices, they can get like sprinkled on with water or something, but I'm always like super protective of my devices. But I have used my phone in the rain. I will take it out in the rain and use it. It works just fine.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I'll go out in the rain with my iPhone 5 and it'll come out of it no problem. But I'm always trying to keep it dry from any of the places that water can come in, like the headphone jack or the lightning connector or even the headset on top.
Yeah, I see this as a way of Apple trying to strive to make their phones stronger, to be more of an everyday use device, because the biggest complaint that we saw with the iPhone 6 and the 6S was the bending of the iPhone, the easy breakable parts of the iPhone. So I feel like this is some way where they've probably haven't advertised it, but behind the scenes, they've probably tried to reduce that bending of the phone. They've done other things as well to make the phone stronger, because I think that's where Apple loses a lot of their money, is replacing phones that get these bendings in them that break easily. And I think Apple is really trying to do everything that they possibly can to make it a strong, rugged phone. Because you think about it, we use our phones every single day. I have it in my pocket almost all day. I use it all day. And I think the headphone jack is something that is holding it back, with the great point by you with that water resistant factor. I feel like I will feel a little bit better on taking out my phone when it's raining if I know that it has that water resistant factor. But back to the headphone jack itself, I'll ask you this question specifically. Do you think that the current size is something that should stay the same? Or do you think that it should be something that we should change? Should we change how it connects? Should it become smaller? Do you think that there needs to be an evolution of that? Or do you think it's perfect the way it is?
So there actually is another standard for these sort of barrel jack plugs, 2.5 millimeter. And it was used a lot back then for sort of cell phone headsets with the little tiny connector on the end. And it was really flimsy. And that's why no one's really evolved to it, because it's just a cheap connector. 3.5 millimeters, a lot stronger, despite it's still a bit cheap.
Yeah, but with that, you're getting into the same problem, and that is a different connector. The 100% or 99.99% of headphones that you're getting out there, minus the professional ones, they're all this one similar jack. I think there just needs to be a move. We just need to drop it, move to something better, and call it over with. I think that this is the end of the 3.5 millimeter jack, and it's just gonna go away. Just die.
I would be curious if they could do some sort of magnetic connector, sort of like how the MagSafe works, or how the connector on the, is it the iPad Pro that has a keyboard that connects with sort of pogo pins on the bottom?
Yeah, something like that with the lightning connector would be fantastic. But how would that help the audio?
Well, so they can make maybe an audio connector analog with sort of a MagSafe style plugin. But at that point, we're already moving to like an external DAC, so there's no point in putting analog back in the phone like that.
Yeah, I think we just need to figure out something else. I have been starting to move more towards wireless myself just because it's less cables, but I know not everybody's going to have that factor, and at least having the free adapter in your new phone is going to help a lot of people with that move over.
Yeah. You know, another point, just going back on the water resistance, they also removed the mechanism for the home button. So now it's basically just flat with the phone. So that's another place that they're sealing water off. The headphone button before was really cheap. I know mine on my iPhone 5 completely rotates around. The mechanism broke on it. The button still clicks. But it's interesting to see that they also removed other features and no one's really talking about that.
Because everybody is interested in that headphone jack. That is probably the thing that everybody uses with their phones to listen to their music is via that headphone jack. And it's just something that people are losing their minds out of right now. Well, I think that wraps up this debate. We really didn't get into that yelling match that we were having last night, but I think it fleshes out a lot of the points and a lot of the frustrations that people are having with this major change. So thank you so much, Anthony, for joining us today.
Oh, of course. Always happy to come on the show.
Thank you. And we'll leave the discussion open to you guys. Leave your comments in the comment section down below. Do you think that Apple just needs to bring back the headphone jack? Do you think that the technology needs to evolve into something else? That comment section is open for you guys to air your opinions. So thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, share a comment, and subscribe. And of course, we will see you guys in our next video.